I was standing in the grocery aisle when I heard it, a soft hum, weaving through the noise of carts and chatter. It was a lullaby, one I hadn't heard in almost 30 years. My heart froze. That voice, calm, warm, a little shaky, sounded exactly like the one that used to sing me to sleep. But my mother had been gone for over 2 decades. Before continue, please subscribe our channel and like our video. I've lived most of my life quietly, in the same small town where I was born. I teach literature at the local high school. I live in a modest house filled with old books and the quiet comfort of routine. My childhood wasn't extraordinary, but it had one constant: my mother's voice. Grace was a single parent. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, but every night, no matter how tired she was, she would hum a lullaby. Those songs held our world together, little pieces of hope and warmth that made me feel safe. When she passed away suddenly, I was in college. Her loss left a hollow space inside me that time never managed to fill. I tried to move forward. I graduated, started teaching, met Daniel, built a quiet life. But sometimes, especially at night, I'd catch myself humming her lullaby, Old Comforts, Die Slowly. Daniel and I never had children. We tried for years, but life had other plans. Eventually, he drifted away, a goodbye written in silence. Not words, so I learned to live alone. My days became about lessons and letters, my nights about books and tea. It wasn't a bad life, just a still one, until that day in the grocery store, when a familiar hum cracked something deep inside me. I followed the sound to the next aisle, pretending to browse. A woman stood there with a small child, maybe 3 years old, sitting in her cart. She was young, maybe 25. Her hair was tied up, her voice soft as she sang. The lullaby, the same exact one. Every note, every pause, even the way the last word lingered before fading. I stood frozen, half hidden behind the cereal shelf. She noticed me and smiled politely, the kind of smile you give a stranger in passing. "Sorry," she said softly. "He only sleeps when I sing this one." I nodded. "Where did you learn that song?" I asked. She tilted her head, thinking. "Oh, my mom used to sing it," she said. "Or maybe my foster mom? I'm not sure. It's just always been there." Her words hit me like a gust of cold air. Foster mother? For days after that, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Her face, her voice, her warmth. There was something painfully familiar. I told myself it was a coincidence. Songs travel, right? But this one, no. My mother had written that lullaby herself. I remembered her saying it. I tried to focus on work, but even my students noticed my distraction. During lunch breaks, I'd drive past that grocery store, hoping, or maybe fearing, I'd see her again. And one evening, I did. She was at the park, her child asleep on her lap. I watched from a distance, ashamed of my own curiosity. When she looked up, I waved hesitantly. She smiled. Polite again. "You were at the store, right?" she called out. We talked for a while. Her name was Anna. She worked at a nearby bakery, lived with her aunt. Her mother, she said, had left when she was a baby. The way she said it, calm, practiced, told me she'd repeated it many times before. Something inside me tightened. I asked gently, "Do you remember her name?" She frowned, thinking. "I think it was Grace," she said. "My mother's name. That night I couldn't sleep. Grace wasn't a common name in our town, and the lullaby. That was too specific." I pulled out an old box of photos, letters, and the notebook where my mother used to write her songs. There it was, her handwriting. Anna's song. I stared at it until the ink blurred through my tears. She'd written that lullaby. For her daughter, not me. The truth crept in slowly, like light slipping through a cracked door. My mother had another child, and somehow, that child had found her way back into my life, humming the song she thought was hers. The next day, I went to see Anna again, not to accuse, just to understand. We met at the park. Her little boy was with her, his cheeks rosy from the cold. We talked about small things, her work, her son, the weather. Then I said quietly, "Anna, would you mind if I showed you something?" I handed her the notebook. She opened it slowly, her fingers tracing my mother's handwriting. Her eyes widened when she saw the title. My mother's name was Grace, she said softly. She used to hum this when she thought I was asleep, but I was just a baby. "How do you—" "She was my mother too," I whispered. She looked up at me, stunned, silent. We sat there for a long time, neither of us speaking. Her little boy stirred, and she began humming again, that same lullaby. 2 voices, bound by one song. In the weeks that followed, we met often, cautiously, gently, like 2 people trying not to break what they'd just found. She told me what she knew. She'd been left at a small orphanage with a note signed, Grace. My mother had never spoken of it. It broke my heart, not in anger, but in sorrow. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she couldn't care for 2 children. Maybe she thought she was saving us both. Anna and I didn't rush anything. There was too much to unpack. Too many questions without answers. But one evening, we went to my mother's grave together. We stood side by side as the autumn wind carried our breath away. Anna placed a single white flower on the stone. Then, softly, she began to hum. I joined her, our voices different, yet woven from the same memory, filled the quiet air. Now, months later, Anna and I meet every weekend. Her little boy calls me Auntie. That word still makes me smile. Sometimes, when she sings that lullaby to him, I listen from the doorway. The ache is still there. But so is peace. I've learned that love doesn't always follow the path we expect. It gets lost, breaks apart, and somehow finds its way back home. My mother's voice isn't gone. It just found another home. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more calm, emotional stories that remind us love always finds its way home.